This is Joshua Hayward from Breath of Life, and I want to welcome you to Life Readings, This Week in the Stars and Cards. And this is a weekly series offering you some opportunities in consciousness and in purpose to get some information that can really generate a big heart space in you and open your energies to a more informed and more awesome and wonderful life. And so thanks for watching and enjoy. So welcome to the second week of 2022, beginning on the 9th of January here. And this episode will cover a couple of weeks, and then I'll get back to doing every week pretty soon. But right now, I just kind of wanted to cover some ground in more than 1 week. What we're looking at when we left off back in 2021 in December, and that was like about a minute ago, right? Okay, so we're still in this. And what this is a Venus retrograde, an unusual thing to happen planetarily, stationing on a conjunction to the evolutionary Scorpio-like, planet of Pluto, the evolutionary type of planet, and also sort of like really looking at Venus in the concept of love and also creativity in the practical sense of workingness in the sign of Capricorn. That's what that represents. It's not a sign that Venus loves to be in, but right now, let's I'm not going to say let's revel in it, but let's accept it and use it for what it is. And so I'm calling this episode Love Revisited. As you're coming out of the holidays, connecting maybe with family, maybe not, maybe having a wonderful time, or maybe feeling a sense of isolation. And looking right now at the anniversary of January 6th, and taking that in, no matter which side that you're on around all of that, and hopefully you're on the side of love, because that's what I want to choose here, whatever that may be. So there's been some intensity. We've had a ton of incredibly intense planetary activity transits to end, moving towards the end of 2021. And now as we come into 2022, we're still really on that thing with Venus retrograding. And so when we talk about love, maybe also creativity, let's revisit that. Let's look. And I would love for you right now to see, as I'm talking, how much love do you feel? How much do you feel loved? How much love are you generating? Are you feeling that flow of things? Is love and creativity flowing through your life in a way that it is entering all those different things that you do in life? We tend to think of love in a very limited way. Love is actually everything. It's not just, there are all these different kinds of love. I could do a whole series on, all the different types of love. but love is a big thing. And are you feeling that now? And do you want to bring love as an experience, more than just as your experience, but as your reality as 2022 unfolds? In fact, when you look at from the Kabbalistic kind of perspective on 2022, you add up the three integers 2, 2, 2, and 6. And on the tree of life, 6 equals the heart. Okay? And the heart space in Kabbalah is called Tiferet, which actually means beauty. Okay, and that's that place where we connect. In fact, 6 is the number, in my estimation anyway, of Christ consciousness. And that really is about love. And so when we look at Venus conjuncting Pluto, what is the depth of our love? And how does it move in our lives? What is the quality of it? Does it really permeate into everything that we do? All the structure and the structures of our lives. Are we feeling it inside? If we're feeling it inside, then it's going to naturally emanate out. And so if you're running into problems where you do not feel loved, you're not able to open up your heart to situations and to people, and you're not feeling, that ability, then this is that year of the heart for you. And it certainly is for me. And I'm looking to open up my heart to embrace all of life and to love all of life. In fact, one thing that I know is that everything is a reflection for me. Everything that I look at, this is a reflection. So if you look at life like that, and what are your reflections telling you? And if you're going into resistance to the places where you're not feeling loved, you're not able to access love and to give love, like you're giving in to when little things trigger you during your day and you're getting upset about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're letting yourself really move out of the vibration of love when these things happen. And it's a good thing to notice. So let's take in. I would really ask you to take in these reflections as you're sitting here taking in and you're consuming what I've got to say here. Try to tap in to where you might be blocked. Okay. You can tell. And these are the things that you can change by not becoming a better person or convincing other people to be a better be a better person, or even by voting for the right person, all that stuff. It really isn't going to fix anything. What's going to fix is if you take stock of the reflections and look at where love is not really happening in your life. Love and acceptance. And really good feelings around that. And take that to heart. Yeah, take it to heart. And let it be transformed in the heart. And let Christ consciousness, let a connection with God transform that in your heart. And you can participate in that by really looking at those things and being willing to change, being willing to revisit love in your life. Now, we've got a couple other things happening going on this month. In fact, within a week or two. In fact, on the 18th, Uranus will be stationing. That was the prime thing that triggered January 6th last year in 2021. We may have another event like that during this month, or a series of events. If it does not happen this year, you could pretty well bet that it's going to happen eventually, and it's just getting stored up right now. Because the world, if you hadn't noticed, it's not a loving vibration. There is underneath there nothing but love. But people haven't chosen it. And so we're really in a place that is kind of dark. Paul said that we see this world We glimpse this world, we look at it as through a glass darkly. And that means we're seeing reflections. All right? So it's even there in the Bible. Okay? So we're looking at the ability to change. And Uranus stations on the 18th in Uranus. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, we've got to change how we feel about how we feel about what we value. We need to look at what we value and see if it's causing us to not be in a loving place. That's one thing to do that's really important. We also have a Mercury retrograde going on. And that will be happening on the 14th of the month. And that's going to be in the sign of Aquarius. It'll also spill back into that area of Capricorn where Venus and Pluto had been hanging out. So it applies to that. But in Aquarius, it's really talking about our relationships with people. It's got to do with technology. It's got to do with individuality and freedom and really cool things. By the way, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius often causes things like technical problems with computers and electricity and things like that. So, and I've gone through so many Mercury retrogrades in Aquarius. It's always like that. And right now though, there's this radical split of camps, the people that really think different things. Mercury has so much to do with that. We can kind of do some communication efforts to try to heal things that way. But if we move into more polarization, that can be a problem. But we can use Mercury retrograde to change the way we communicate and maybe bring that polarity, reduce that a little bit. And it's not just other people. We have polarities within ourselves too, So how you think about yourself and how you think about life. These are the things that are very, very important. Venus will go back direct later on in the month, and I believe it's on the 29th, okay? So we won't talk about that until the next episode or two. But for now, how do we greet 2022 with open hearts and love? Hence the cards. Okay, so let's rock and roll. The first card is just a small little bitty thing. It's just like starting real. I'm kidding, all right? It's the universe, all right? So that's kind of big. And so that's the world. And this is our world as we see it. Saturn rules this card because the world, it's the reality of the universe that we live in. When we look at this card, we can see the tremendous beauty, the potential. And it's also maybe a little bit ominous, but the beauty there is just tremendous in this particular card, in this deck. What I'm starting to get about this is that our life, our world, it's time for us to really look at that and how loving is it. This means that our world is changing. It's not like when you get the card like this, the first card in the spread. And in fact, the universe, so many times when you see it, it's the world not solidifying but changing. Sometimes it can be the other way. I'm pretty well convinced right now that when I see this is about the world that we want to live in. The world that's ruled more by love. And love really has to do with connection. And anything other than that is separation. So hence when you start thinking about some of the things I've mentioned and some of the things like in this episode and some of the things that we're noticing going on with this polarization, we want to pull this world together. So maybe we can pull it together in here and make an example in the heart. And the second card is the Two of Cups, which is love. And I'm not kidding you, I just pulled that right out. And that's the power of spirit. It's so remarkable. It's sometimes subtle and sometimes right in your face, and here it is. All right, so the Two of Cups, Venus is in the sign of Cancer, so it's really the opposite sign of Capricorn, where Venus is right now, with Pluto. And this card, in Cancer is talking about feelings. It's feeling love and feeling that balance and stuff like that. So here's where your meditations need to be. And love, once again, is universal, and it's a sense of being love that I'm talking about. We can act loving, but how do we really feel? Is that the truth? No. These are some things to ponder. Okay, third card coming up. Princess of Wands. Here she is. And so she's a very creative. So we're talking about not only love in that loving, heartfelt sense, but also how love acts in a creative type of way. It's saying that we need, or well, maybe you need, and certainly probably I need too, is to ride that wave, that glyph of fire there, that to really get some excitement going about life with love as that energetic source of energy for that. So it's talking about creative projects and making them work, and also being sensual, being and being charismatic in the sense that we can bring that joy. We can live, in the spiraling down thing, or we can live in the spiraling up thing, okay? And she's obviously even spiraling up, okay? So she is the creative part, right? The earthy part of energy, or the creative part of energy, wands, fire, okay? Here's another fire card, the 5, which is called striving or contention or conflict. So we're being creative with our conflicts here. And to bring some love and passion of the Princess of Wands into when we meet these contending type of forces, and believe me, they are there. And you can look in the outer world and you'll see that. But where are you in conflict? And what kind of love do you want to bring to it? And the 5th card is the Tower. It's a very fire-oriented card too. And so that means that, when we do bring that love and we are consciously co-creating with love in our relationships with ourselves and others, we can bring change. And the Tower is a change that takes us from an egoic focus that is identifying with something that's very painful. And we think that, wow, what can we do to get out of this? I don't want this to happen. We resist lessons. We just want to get out of it. But if we open up our hearts to love, we can get true change. And our ego, that individual identity, can align with the soul. And that's what real love is. Okay, so then we can bring change. Notice the third eye at the top of the Tower is saying, here, I'm awakening, you see. And that's what's bringing the real change on the soul level, okay? All right, and another card here. There's 1. I'm going to break it 2. 2. Okay, the first one of these 2 cards is the Knight of Cups. And what this is when we begin to act, the Knight of Cups, very water-oriented, of emotion. Let's get in touch with our actions, and let's reach as God is reaching with this. The Cancer crab is up in this cup. In other words, reaching emotionally and psychologically, to God, to the light, in order to fill in the darkness of the void. In other words, as you act, you're learning to act from spirit. You're learning to act from emotion. Once again, Cancer being the opposite of Capricorn, where Venus and Pluto are. So it's saying, as we act, let's do it with love. Are you willing to do that? And sometimes it's not easy. And can you do that to yourself? And once again, this is not a gender card. If you're male or female or non-binary or whatever your identity is, this card remains the same. It's you. It's how you begin to assert yourself, bringing in a caring kind of energy, caring for yourself and for others, loving. Okay, and then the last card that I just pulled both of those together because I knew that the Knight needed to be followed somehow. And it's the Eight of Discs, which is a Virgoan card, which says I'm going to take the prudent steps that I need to take in order to move in that direction. So we're looking at a couple of weeks here. And I want you to see that conflict card, the Five of Wands, really, it's within you, but we may see some conflict we did see it last January. I'm sort of hoping that we don't, because violence doesn't ever serve. It just calls for more violence. It doesn't ever get you where you're going to go. But we need to actually see it, and not close our eyes to it. So that conflict is right in the middle of all those cards. Strife, contending. Everything else says change. The world is changing, and you are at the center of it. So be well, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Oh, before I go, though, too, I also wanted to say that another thing that I'm doing in this period of time is I'm going to be restarting my Teachings in Christ Consciousness series, and I've got some special episodes that I've been writing and planning, and that will be coming really soon. It's I don't want to say exactly when, but it will be either probably next week or the week after, something like that. And so I'm going to be running 2 series at the same time. I will continue this week in the Stars and Cards. This Life Readings series will continue along with the Teachings in Christ Consciousness. And so, until I see you next, be sure you seek the divine.